Stop reading this in your warm room for a second. Wherever you're sitting right now, that chair, that bed, that couch, it took you no effort to get there. You just sat down. Hold on to that feeling because you're about to lose it for the next 20 years of your life. Let's put you on the site. It's the middle of the morning and you are already used up. Not tired the way you get tired, used up. There's a difference, and by the end of this, you'll understand it in your bones. Your shoulders have stopped asking to rest because they've learned the answer is no. Your feet found the rhythm hours ago, and now they just move, one grind of a footstep after another, whether you tell them to or not. Look down at the rope in your hands. It's as thick as your wrist, woven from twisted reeds and palm fiber, and it has been slowly eating your palms since sunrise. Not cutting them, eating them. Now look at what's on the other end of it. A single block of limestone on a wooden sledge, weighing more than every person pulling it put together. And your entire reason for being on this earth today is to move it one length of your own body across the sand. Then again, somewhere above you a finished pyramid is supposed to appear out of this. You will not be around to see it. But before we pull, let's clear something up, because you've been lied to your whole life about this. You're picturing chains. A man with a whip walking a line of starving foreigners, leather cracking across bare backs. Every movie showed you that. It's wrong. The people who raised this thing weren't foreign captives dragged here in irons. They were Egyptians, ordinary ones, farmers mostly, whose fields sat underwater part of the year when the Nile rose and drowned everything they owned in mud. When the water came, the work in the fields stopped, and the work on the stone began. You weren't bought. You were called, fed, housed, given rations, sorted into a crew with a name, and pointed at the rope. So no, technically you aren't a slave. Feel better? Your body doesn't. It has never read a history book and never will. It doesn't know the difference between forced labor and paid labor when the load is 2.5 tons and the sun is directly overhead. The wage buys bread. It does not buy back the years the stone takes out of you. So let's stop hiding behind the word and go earn it. Grab the rope again. The man at the front starts to sing. It isn't a song. It's a beat, a single low sound with a word stuck to it, and everyone leans on the same note. That's the whole trick. 30 people yanking whenever they feel like it would snap the rope and tear each other apart. 30 leaning on one shared breath can drag a mountain across a desert. So you find the beat and give yourself to it. Lean, bite, step, wait. And there's a man ahead of the sledge pouring water onto the sand. Watch him, because that's the smartest thing happening on this whole site. Dry sand piles up in front and fights you. Wet sand packs hard and lets it slide, cutting your work almost in half. Nobody here has ever written down the word friction, and nobody will for another 4,000 years. But the man with the water jar understands it in his hands, and that understanding is the only reason your spine hasn't already given out. An hour in, your body opens negotiations, a little voice offering deals. Just stop for a breath. Just let the rope go slack for one count. Nobody will notice. The voice is lying. Everybody will notice, because one man going slack is a knot in a line of hundreds. So you tell it no, and you pull. The heat isn't like heat, you know. The stone drinks the sun all day and throws it back up into your face, so you're baked from the sky and roasted from the ground at once. There is no shade anywhere. Shade is for the dead man this whole place is being built for. You'll get shade when you get a tomb, and you will not be getting a tomb. That's why the water carriers never stop. They weave through the crews all day, and it isn't kindness, it's math. A worker who drops from the heat isn't pulling, and a stopped sledge jams everyone behind him, so they keep you drinking to keep you pulling. Drink, pull, drink, pull. The world shrinks to the rope, the beat, and the next footstep. And that shrinking is a mercy, because when your whole world is one footstep, you can't think about the 20 years. And the dust. Somewhere across this site, every hour of every day, limestone is cut and chipped and dragged by thousands at once, throwing a fine pale powder into the air that never settles. You breathe it with every gasp. It coats your throat and works down into your chest and stays. You are inhaling the pyramid. A little more of it every day, and neither of you asked. Now, here's the part that catches people off guard. When the stone breaks you, and it will, a snapped rope, a slipped block, a foot in the wrong place, they don't throw you away. We dug up these workers thousands of years later, and their skeletons tell a story nobody expects. Shattered bones set straight and healed clean. Limbs lost, on bodies that lived years afterward. There were real healers here, actual care. Don't mistake it for softness. A worker who knew how to move stone was worth something. A corpse was just an empty spot in the crew. So when your arm folds the wrong way under a sledge, someone binds it, sets it, and hands you back the rope. In the year 2500 BC, That counts as a generous employer. The bar was buried underground. And here's the strangest thing keeping you upright when your legs have stopped believing in you. It isn't the pharaoh, it isn't the gods, it's the crew next to yours. Your crew has a name, so does theirs. And the moment two groups of exhausted men have names, something ancient and stupid and powerful wakes up. They want to win. You want to move more stone than the ramp over there. Bleeding hands, cooking back, a spine turning to gravel, and some idiotic ember in your chest still wants to beat those other guys before sundown. The overseers know exactly what they're doing when they let that rivalry burn. 4,500 years before anyone painted their face for a team, you're learning that a man will suffer almost anything if you give him someone to beat and a name to do it under. Your body is destroying itself for a score no one will ever count. The day drags on the way the grit drags across your teeth. And it's in your teeth too, ground into your bread from the milling stones, filing them flat and cracking them at the root a little more with every loaf. The rope wears your hands. The sun wears your skin, the bread wears your teeth. The years wear the man. And that's the part that quietly breaks people. You will do this for years and never once see it finished. This thing takes around 2 decades to raise, season after flooded season, block after block. A man can pour his entire working life into this single object and be dead in the sand before they set the final stone on top. You are one footstep in a march that began before you showed up and continues long after you're gone. Your name goes nowhere. The king's goes on the whole thing, and you'll almost certainly never even see him. The God King you're grinding yourself to powder for is a word, a reason, an idea behind a wall you'll never stand near. Officially, you believe he becomes a god when he dies and that this mountain is his ladder up. But that's not really why you pull. You pull because the river flooded the farm the state called your name. The rations are real, and your children eat tonight because you leaned on that rope today. Strip away the mystery and the impossible math, and the greatest structure the ancient world ever made is standing on the plainest thing there is. Parents who needed to feed their kids. Then, finally, the sun starts to fall. Your crew lowers the last block, and the relief nearly puts you on the ground. You walk back on legs that feel borrowed. You eat more bread, chew more sand, drink more of the thick sour beer that's safer than the river. You lie down on a reed mat in a room full of men who smell exactly like you, and in the dark, your ruined hands throb in time with your heartbeat. Someone is coughing. Someone is always coughing, and the stones still won't wait for the sun tomorrow. We stand in front of the pyramids, and we see a pharaoh. We see genius, mystery, mathematics that shouldn't have been possible yet. All of it is true, but the monument isn't really his. It belongs to the man with the flattened teeth and the arm that healed crooked, who leaned on a rope until dark for 20 years and then vanished into the sand without a single line written down to say he was ever here. 45 centuries later, you can still measure exactly how hard he pulled. It's the tallest thing he left behind. It was the tallest thing anyone on Earth left behind for almost 4,000 years. So the next time your back aches from a chair or your feet hurt after a long shift, stop for one honest second. You come from people who moved mountains with their hands and were paid in bread, beer, and a body that remembered every block. Every soft thing you own sits on top of a spine that bent so yours wouldn't have to. So say it. Thank the man with the rope. If you made it this far, you're the kind of person this channel is for. Subscribe. See you in the next video.